You're tuned in and now listening to the program Straight Talk with the United Independent Movement, presented by your host, Professor Aubrey and co-host, the President of the United Independent Movement, Jacques, with our anchor, Chris Erodus from Port Elizabeth, and from time to time, along with various guests, only here on Joy Radio, every Thursday evening from 6:30 till 8 p.m. Here on this program, where nothing is held back, and where you will get straightforward answers and sincere talk about the daily events in South Africa. Yes, that what affects every citizen in this country.
You are tuned in here on Joy Radio, your companion and friend in Jesus. The following program is paid for and proudly brought to you by the United Independent Movement. This program contains political content. The views and opinions expressed in this program and broadcasts are those of the UIM and its representatives, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Joy Radio, its management team, sponsors, the owner or board of directors. This program is paid for by the United Independent Movement, which accepts full responsibility for its content in accordance with the Electoral Act and ICASA regulations. Joy Radio, your companion and friend in Jesus.
Yes, you are tuned in to Straight Talk with the UIM. Good evening, goeienaand, Dumela. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday evening once again, beloveds. Dearest listeners, it's a pleasure for us to be in your company. Yeah, we got some exciting things what we're going to discuss this evening. Ja, ons gaan onder andere 'n bietjie later in die program gaan ons bietjie gesels bietjie oor demokrasie. Ja, demokrasie, ons is mos 'n demokratiese land. En ons gaan bietjie praat oor die ANC se weergawe daarvan. En die UIM is die alternatief dat vir die sogenaamde ANC demokrasie of die, wel, as ek praat van ANC, dan praat ek sommer terselfdertyd van die regering van nasionale eenheid, want hulle is vir my almal in dieselfde bed. But we also got two candidates this evening once again. But with me so far this evening is my anchor, Chris Erodus, from Port Elizabeth. Our President, Jacques Taljaard, will join us a bit later. And unfortunately, the Secretary General, Christo Jonk, cannot make it this evening. But Chris, I'm glad you're here with me.
Prof, always a pleasure. Another day, another dollar. It's going to be a humdinger of a show tonight. And I feel that many people are going to be hiding their faces after the show is done.
Yeah, I also believe so. And then tonight we've got our two candidates as two ladies. Ja, twee dames wat ons vanaand saam met ons op het. Ons kan daarom nie altyd die enigste dorings wil wees hier op die program nie. En ja, en die ene is daar van die Vrystaat af, Oranjewil se wêreld. En miskien ken julle haar as julle ingeskakel is van daai area, of moontlik van die Vaaldriehoek, want dit is mos nie ver weg nie. Ja, Sasolburg, ook nie ver weg nie. Ja, Teresa de Tooi, wat vanaand saam met ons gaan aansluit, en sy gaan julle nou 'n bietjie vertel meer wat daar by haar aangaan. Teresa, welkom hierso op Joy Radio vanaand.
Goeienaand, baie dankie vir die uitnodiging.
Altyd 'n plesier. And then our other candidate for this evening is all the way from the Eastern Cape. Jy sien van die een uiterste hoek na die ander uiterste hoek toe. And that is none other as Anne Lindstrom. Anne, welcome with us tonight, your first time also on Joy Radio.
Good evening, Prof. Yes, absolutely, and thank you for the invite.
It's a pleasure. And can we kick off with you? And tell our listeners, worldwide listeners, what we've got here on Joy Radio. So yeah, if you thought you're only going to speak to a little bit of people, yeah, we're streaming worldwide. So that the expats also can hear what's happening here and what the UIM is doing. Tell the listeners exactly who's Anne Lindstrom, where in the Eastern Cape she is from, why are you in politics? What do you intend to do? Why do you want to better this country? How are you going to better this country? And yeah, where are you going to stand and which ward for the local government elections this year?
Okay, sure. I'm from Ward 46 in East London and the branch secretary for our branch. And I'll start saying that I first saw Neil on Facebook and started following UIM or started following Neil from 2020 during the COVID period. And admittedly, I must say I was one of those someone who never followed the political arena. I always thought that we have strong people taking care of our country and our people's interests as well as the relevant departments that rule and foresee everything taking place. But then something happened. On one of Neil's Facebook Lives, he said something. And what he said was, not on or in my name. And that's when I clearly understood exactly what he meant, and I realized we as a nation, we're facing troubled times ahead of us, and with rough roads to travel into our future. So I joined the UIM as a member, and I started attending all the UIM events, and now I've eyes wide open thanks to Neil. I think we all still miss his lives on social media tremendously. But anyway, since then, I now take notice of things going on around us and that our government and current sitting local representatives continue to make multiple promises without delivering results. And that's a huge problem. Just this past month, in my ward alone, it's been noted that the municipality has come along new surcharges on the municipal accounts. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that at this stage in any other areas. But anyway, when a person's in the area here queried with them, the tenant at the municipality told him that it's for maintaining the road. And any further queries that we have must be addressed with the Department of Roads. And the query ended up and moved on along towards the Department of Roads. Only to find, when the people got to the Department of Roads, at the listed address, they were redirected to an alternative address in another area. And obviously getting there to this new address, they found the Department of Roads vehicles on site there and only a security guard. So, on questioning the security guard, he advised that the office is no longer there, or has never been there, in fact, and it's moved to the West Bank area. But it's got no contact person or no contact address to direct anybody any further. So obviously, that now ended up in a dead end. You see the vehicles, but no office, nobody that can help you with your query. So yeah, and in my area, there's a lot of problems in this area, like water for the communities, electricity's got constant issues, ongoing, whole lot of things. Our roads are in a bad state. Just on my route alone, we have overgrown bush into the roads, potholes galore. We've had multiple fatal accidents along this road. People have lost their lives already, and you just get no response. Municipality, yes, we'll attend to it, and well, that's as far as it goes. So, also, there's other estates along this coastal road roads are in bad condition. We took a drive out there not so long ago, and terrible state. So it's come down to the fact that residents from these states are raising funds to do something about this situation themselves. I mean, we have to start doing something to help ourselves. We can't just expect everybody else to step up to the plate. So us, as the general residents and motorists using these roads, we're trying to do things for ourselves. And then, of course, at one of these estates, the municipality actually put a stop to them progressing any further on fixing potholes and things like that. And they stated that they're not authorized to do any road maintenance. So it sort of came to a standstill. So we've decided now we're going to pursue this matter further because I'm in our roads and people's lives. You can't play with things like that. So, yeah. And with so many ongoing problems, it's time that we stand together and make things happen. And then finally, it's actually simple. It's very simple for us to make changes. We're all seeking accountability, and at the UIM, we are the only party that states we are accountable people. So let's put the right party into the local government seats this year and eventually into Parliament. Make our votes count. South Africa needs a brand new fresh start. And that's what we think. If anybody needs to contact me anywhere along the line, if we can do anything or our members can try and help and get involved, welcome to contact me. If I can give my number out, can I give my number out?
Yes, please do.
It's 073-237-9885. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. And unfortunately, you guys are not got that exclusive problems. This is unfortunately countrywide. What these problems exist. And municipalities, they will come and stop residents from preparing better the communities because that is egg on their face. And but believe me, by next month, I'm sure, when you will see when we're all starting to pull together and try to make differences before the elections. And when we get into the new sections, there's something what we're going to speak about that way, what the president actually said last weekend on the birthday of the ANC. Maar nou ja, en daar van Oranje wil, daar waar daar lekker visvang is en allerlei plekke is en dit. En vertel ons bietjie, wat gebeur daar in jou geweste en wat doen die UIM daarso?
Ja, dit is eigenlijk Theresa nie nie hoor, maar ja.
Ag, Theresa, ja.
Dit is baie van hierdie probleme wat ek nou genoem het, sit ons mee ook hier op Oranjewil. Dis maar 'n baie klein plaasgemeenskapie. Ons wit mense is verskriklik verdruk en ek bedoel dit nou nie rassisties, ek wil nie 'n rasse ding hiervan maak nie. Want daar's baie van die ander kleurigers wat net so onderdruk word omdat hulle in die dorpie bly en nie buite in die lokasie bly nie. Daar word teenoor ons gediskrimineer, spesifiek nou deesdae op my, omdat ek nou deel is van die UIM. Hoe het ek deel geword? Kom ons begin daarby. Ek het deel geword van die UIM, ek wil nou nie jok nie, dit was laas jaar, amper 'n jaar terug, het ek deel geword van die UIM, met die wat ek onderdruk was in Oranjewil, deur die huidige, ek kan nie jou sê raadslid nie, want die persoon wat die uithelp, is nie eers 'n raadslid van Oranjewil nie, soos op Sasolburg. Ons het nie enige iemand wat Oranjewil kan verteenwoordig nie, niemand nie. Toe ek iemand genader op die UIM en gevra, hoe kan ek betrokke raak in die gemeenskap, want daar is net geen, hoe sê hulle, transparency nie, daar is geen terugvoering nie, Praat ek daaroor, dan word ek van die groepe af verwyder. Daai tipe van ding, toe besluit ek het my eie groepe gestig, ek het my eie munisipale groep gestig, waarop die mense kan kla en waarop hulle terugvoering vra, waarop ons terugvoering gee. En soos ons het nou laasweek het ons weer 'n probleem gehad met, daar was iemand wat 'n voertuig gerol het in ons hoofstraat en hy het die paal die paal gerol. Toe is 'n gedeelte van die dorp nou sonder krag wat my insluit. Nou, ons is deel van die buitedorp, ons is deel van die waterplant en die lokasie. So toe's daar nou nie water nie, want die hele dorp sit nou sonder water, want daar's nie krag nie. Op dag 3, toe's almal nou goed omgeëlie. Dit staan naweek se kant toe, daar is vakansiegangers by die by die vakansieoorde, daar's nie water nie, hulle raak nou 'n bietjie ongeduldig. Toe bel ek die MM van ons munisipaliteit. En ek het vir hom gesê van die begin af, kykie, al my oproepe word opgeneem, dit is 'n recorded call hierdie, kan jy vir my sê wat gaan aan? Toe sê hulle vir my, die service provider is geallocate, dit is goedgekeur, hulle is op pad. Hulle sal tussen 2 en 3 dae wees, om die paal te herstel. Ek vra te spesifiek vir die man, gee jy om as ek die recording plaas? Nee, hy het nie 'n probleem daarmee. Ek plaas dit toe nou op die groepe, en toe het die spesifieke persoon wat my nou al lank target het, sy dit verwyder en sy gesê, die iemand het gesê, ek nie vir my toestemming gegee nie. Maar dit sê so op die recording. Toe probeer sy my, nou diskreet, toe sê sy, ek weet nie hoe werk julle by die UIM. Toe ek het baie duidelik gemaak dat ek sal in weerwil en om my party te beskerm, sal ek daai recording weer eens opsit. En ek sal vir haar diskredit. Ons is nie die DA nie, ons is nie die Vryheidsfront nie, ons is nie die ANC nie. Ons praat die waarheid en ons gee vir ons mense dit wat fisies daar buite is. Ons gaan nie wit broodjies bak nie, ons gaan nie vir die mense om die bos lei. So ek is nou weer eens 'n target en ek is van al die munisipale groepe verwyder behalwe my eie. Omdat ek eerlik is en ek vir die mense probeer sê, daar is partye daar buite wat actually met integriteit na julle toe kan terugkom, en vir julle die waarheid kan gee. Dit is nie hier tans. En dit is hoekom ek aangesluit het by die UIM. Ek voel dat ons lede en ons dorp het eerlike kommunikasie nodig en moet vertroue bou by hulle mense. Hulle moet kan vertroue bou by die UIM en weet, as hulle na Teresa toe kom, gaan Teresa vir hulle nie 'n leek storie opdis net om hulle monde stil te hou. Sy gaan vir hulle die waarheid vertel. I'm not sugarcoating anything. As hulle moet weet wat gaan aan, dan gaan ek vir hulle sê wat gaan aan. Want op die einde van die dag, vind hulle by 'n ander plek uit, Teresa het nonsens gepraat het. Nee, ek vertel die ding soos dit is. Hulle het stabiliteit nodig onder die kanselers. Hulle het die eerlikheid nodig. Hulle het nodig om die helderheid van al die probleme wat plaasvind te gebeur. Soos daar's 'n man na die dag, toe wil Metro om in hegtenis neem, omdat, kyk, al ons straatjies is mos maar, hoe sê hulle, dust roads. Dis net, dis nie geteer nie. So as dit so verskriklik reën, dan dit spoel gate en die mense se voertuie beskadig. Almal ry nie met 4x4's rond op die dorp nie. So die voertuie word beskadig. Nou die ene by sy opreed, soos wat hy moet ingaan, het hy bakstene gepak, om dan nou net gelyk te maak wat sy kar bly seer kry. Toe wil die Metro om in hegtenis neem, want hy is nou besig om die pad te beskadig. Die pad is klaar beskadig. Hy probeer dit beter maak, maar ons los dit dan maar daar. So, ek voel nie dat in die ons wijk 5 moet ons iets begin doen om net die korrupsie te stop, want daar's baie korrupsie. Net om, jy kan die munisipaliteit bel en sê, jou septic tank moet leeggesuig word, hulle beloof jy hart en mond, hulle is daar binne 3 dae. Daar's 3 maande wat verby gaan, hulle kom nie. En hoekom nie? Want die mannetjie wat die trokkie ry, om te kom suig, vat 'n braai. Nou, hy gaan nie doen met die munisipaliteit van sê nie, want hy kry dan nou net sy maandelikse salaris by die munisipaliteit. So hy kom suig jou gat as jy nou vir hom 'n paar rand in die hand stop. Nou wat doen jy? Hoe stop 'n mens dit? Ons moet dit een of ander manier begin stop sit. Ons moet hierdie korrupsie uitroei hierso. Ons het nie straatligte nie. Ek wil 'n projek loods hierdie jaar om te kyk of ons solarligte kan bymekaar maak. Die dorp kan bymekaar staan, fondse insamel dat ons net solarligte sit en die solarligte opsit. Ek weet in een van hierdie ander klein dorpies is dit goedgekeur deur die munisipaliteit en is hulle besig om die solarligte op te sit, wat deur die privaat maatskappye en die dorpse mense self ingesamel is en gedoen is. En daar is nie ligte nie, daarvoor kry fondse. So, op die einde van die dag wil ek ook kyk of ek dit ook kan doen. Die mense het my genader wat begin het met die projek in daai dorpie. Hulle is van Oranje gewees, so ons gaan daai projek doen om die straatligte aan die gang te kry, want dit sal so baie besighede help, dit sal so baie privaat mense help, want the crime rate in this town, it normally used to be only businesses and only when it rains, but it's escalating. They'll walk into your yard daytime and they just pull off all the copper pipes, whatever they can. And you chase them down the road and they jump around over the wall and they're gone. You just can't get them. You find the police, no, we can't find them, but you told them exactly where they are. Dit is 'n issue. Ons het ook probleme met die krag. Ons krag was al 3 keer af, sover ek weet is dit nou nog af. Ek is op solar, so dit pla my nie, maar omdat dit my nie affekteer nie, gaan ek nie agteroor sit en sê, wel dit affekteer my nie, ek voel niks vir die mense daar buite nie. Daar's baie mense, daar's ou mense wat net op sassa leef. Nou as hulle kos sleg gaan, hulle het nie geld om ander kos te koop nie, hulle het dit. So ek moet beklei vir daai mense, dat hulle die krag het, dat hulle nie moet bekommerd wees, nou waar gaan ek nou weer 'n paar randjies kry om XYZ te koop om aan die lewe te bly. En dan probeer ek ook fondse insamel, of voedsel insamel vir die mense wat se kos verloor het, om seker te maak dat hulle het kos tot en met die volgende SASSA uitbetaling. En dis dit. Dis my storie.
Teresa, is daar nou mense van Oranjewil en omgewing is wat inluister, hoe kry hulle jou in die hande?
Hulle kan my kontak op 082 420 1685.
Daar sê, baie dankie daar so Teresa. Ja, nee, dit dink vir my julle het 'n opdraande stryd daarso om te beklei. Maar ek wil net die versekering gee, ek sê intussen tyd, ons president Jacques Taljaard het ook by ons aangesluit. Jy het 'n hele UIM span wat agter jou staan. En ja, as jy hulp nodig het, daai kant skree, ons kom help. Ons sal help om my korrupsie uit te draai. En daai ou wat like om gate uit te suig vir bribes, ons kan hom wys waar kan hy lekker gaan gate uitsuig agter een of ander korrektiewe dienste se plekkie aan die einde van die dag.
Ja, dis reg. Julle moet 'n lekker aand verder hê.
Baie dankie, selfde vir jou. Baie dankie dat jy op was. Meneer president Jacques Taljaard, goeienaand en welkom. Ek sien jy kom vroeër wegkom as wat jy gedink het.
Goeienaand prof, ja, ek het daai petrol plat getrap, so ek het 'n bietjie vroeër, ek wil nie vroeër weggekom nie, ek het net vroeër gery by die huis om.
Ja, ek hoop jy het hom so getrap dat jy een van daai gaan wees wat hulle sê, luister, klaar jou aan vir roekeloos nalatige bestuur nie, R2000 borg en dan moet jy maar hof toe nie, né? Soos nou met baie mense gebeur het oor hierdie naweek.
Nee, ek het baie mooi gery, maar ja, kom ons los dit daar.
Ja, nee, kom ons los dit daar. Ons is wetgehoorsaam. Dis wat jy wil sê. Nou ja, kom ons gaan bietjie eens kyk na nuusgebeure en ek gaan stout wees en ek gaan 'n ding inbring wat vanmiddag gebreek het. Ek dink dit is wat ons moet oor hierdie ding gesels hierso op Straight Talk. We need to address this. And this is Dion George of the ANC, who have resigned this afternoon out of the ANC. He resigned from a federal, he is finished, he is kaput. He read a statement out on live television. It was a live podcast show that went out. And yeah, what was said. Well, if that doesn't shock the DA supporters, nothing else will shock them. So Jacques, ek weet nie of jy tyd gehad het om miskien daarvan te gehoor het of miskien iets daarvan gelees het of geluister het intussen tyd nie.
Prof, nee, ek het actually nie, maar ek wil jou net gou regstel, dit is Dion George van die DA, nie die ANC nie.
Ja, wel is dieselfde ding.
Ek was amper geskok nou daarvoor om ek gewees het of ek ken, maar dit nou gebeur vanmiddag wat ek nou nie van weet. Ag prof, dit was net dit was hoe sê hulle, dit was a matter of time. Daar was ons nou weet die DA het ons nou daai klein mini hofsaakie gehou. Ek dink hulle federal council het ons nou daai trial, as jy dit kan noem, gehou binne in hulle daai interne verhoor wat dit mos nou meneer Dion George teen John Steenhuisen was vir al die aantuigings wat gemaak is ensovoorts en John Steenhuisen is toen op die einde van die dag onskuldig bevind. No surprises there, maar anyway. So ja, ek dink ek kan nie sien hoe iemand soos Dion George of meneer Dion George sou kon aanbly in die DA na alles wat gebeur het. So dit is nie regtig geskok nie. Ons het eintlik maar gewag dat hy nou maar besluit dis nou tyd. Wat ek wel in geïnteresseerd is om te sien waarheen gaan hy nou gaan. Want hy gaan definitief, hy gaan nie nou op met politiek sekerlik nie. So hy gaan ergens gaan ons weer sy naam sien opduik. So dit is eintlik wat ek nou nogal belangstel om te sien. Maar jy weet, dit is baie interessant in Suid-Afrika as jy 'n party los. Die volgende party by wie jy aansluit, ek bedoel dit moet sekerlik jy kan mos nie sekere beginsels hê en sekere politieke ideologieë hê en sienswyses hê en dan sluit jy aan by 'n party net daarna wat totaal en al die teenoorgestelde beleide en prinsipe en as jy verstaan wat ek bedoel, jy gaan baie min kry dat iemand van die EFF, iemand gaan die EFF verlaat in DA, met die DA Ek dink hulle is meer geneig om aan te sluit dan by partye soos die NK-party. So ja, ek sal nogal graag wil sê, dit gaan nogal baie sê van hom, as ek dit so kan stel, as ons nou gaan kyk, by wie hy gaan volgende aansluit. Dit gaan interessant wees.
Okay, but we heard last week, when we had our candidate from George on the air, on here, and actually a certain political party who were buying the candidates of a DA in her constituency. So it seems like they are after the DA people. So probably they will approach him. Maybe they will offer him a bit more than 1.5, maybe 2.5 to join them. Chris?
Prof, the integrity has a, it's actually a wrong statement to make that integrity has a price. If we had to take as a collective in the UIM how much we've been offered, we could probably be billionaires by now. Integrity doesn't have a price, but I have to agree with President Jacques with his statement is, where is he going to go? It's a difficult one. If you're a career politician, it's going to be very difficult because his ideologies to take it to another party would be very difficult. And then obviously with the position he had before, what sort of a position would he expect to be getting? You know, when somebody is disgruntled, they always need to cool off for a little while and, you know, just get their moral compass set. But it's going to be very difficult for Mr. George. I mean, he's a stalwart. He's been there many years. So I don't quite know. I do believe that with him leaving, and this is just my opinion, is that there will be a lot more other people leaving or people will start to make sure that they have enough, enough dirt on the next person to make sure that they can keep their jobs. So that is something here in the UIM we don't have to worry about. So that's just my 2 cents. But the fun and games is it is beginning all over.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see more and more skeletons start falling out and popping out all over. But yeah, it's going to be nice to be able to watch this all unfolds. But yeah, we will, as the UIM, your UIM will carry on doing what they do best, serve their communities. I wanted to come to something what is becoming absolutely a national crisis in this country. And the government just doesn't want to declare it a national disaster, and that is the foot and mouth disease. I mean, when it started last year, down in Heidelberg, down Gauteng, it came to a point where what it was said is basically under control. And the next moment, it was like a veldfire. It started to spread, not just in Gauteng, it started to spread to parts of KwaZulu-Natal, Free State, Northwest Province, and so forth. But still, the government is lacking. They're lacking the feet. I mean, this is not just implicating the livelihood of the farmers, commercial and small farmers, but this is going to have an impact of each and every citizen as well. I actually said on my morning program of Joy Radio this morning that one of these days you won't be able even to afford boerewors or mincemeat, what is made of beef, or beef patties in it, because just going to be too expensive. Because there is, I mean, cattle that cannot be saved have to be put down. So at the end of the day, there's going to be a shortage of meat. But I went to look at the statement that the Minister of the Mate, Mr. Jan Steenhuisen, yesterday. And he says he's got a clear plan, absolute clear plan, for finance assistance to affected farmers. Information on how the nation's state of disaster will make a real difference to the dairy, red meat and pork industries. The introduction of emergency regulations to mobilize more than just department sources, a uniform scoping of manpower, vehicles, equipment and vaccine in each district for effective development and structuring. Now, all sounds good and well. It's beautiful on paper. But if you travel on the national highways, if you travel, for example, in places like there in the Naisville, Oranieville, all those little towns, small towns where the rural farmers are, and where their cattle walk around free. They got free range. Over in the Eastern Cape, all over. There is no control, not at all. Now, the moment foot and mouth disease breaks out on any farm, that farm or small loading has been placed under quarantine, and for a radius of approximately 50 kilometers around it, every farm, every small loading is being placed under quarantine for this foot and mouth. There's no control over that for these guys. But now, you know, it was all good and well for the Minister of Steenhuisen, John Steenhuisen, to come out and to say, listen, we're going to put all this beautiful plan what I've got into place. But there's no vaccination. We have to import now from Argentina and from other countries. So how long is that going to take? My problem is, what I've picked up and what my personal feeling here is that why aren't farmers allowed to buy the vaccinations and vaccinate their own animals? Because they're not allowed to. It needs to be done by state veterinary. But the best of all is, Mr. John Steenhuisen, our Minister of Agriculture, says he acknowledges that this is a crisis and is taking an enormous financial and emotional toll on these farmers. Of course it is. Because they don't know where their next paycheck is coming from. They don't know about how to pay their debts, how to pay the school fees for kids and so forth, because there's no finances coming in. And then it says, I've received numerous pleas for help from commercial and community farmers who are bearing the brunt of a recent foot and mouth disease outbreak in the country. We recognize your struggle, he says. What, does that sound familiar? Sounds like the ANC for me, that, because they recognize the struggle. Okay. We understand the financial and emotional toll that these outbreaks are taking on your families and livelihoods. Of course, because he doesn't worry about it. He's got a party credit card what he used, and apparently, through what we hear in the media, misused as well, although he has been cleared of it now. We sympathize with the hardship you're enduring, he says to them, but I want to assure you today that we have a plan that is realistic, achievable, and technical sound. Now, gents, if we, as the UIM, were in this situation, if Chris, either you or Jacques were the Minister of Agriculture, or let me rephrase it. Let's say Jacques was the President of this country, and you, Chris, were the Minister of Agriculture. I'm sure something different would have happened. So help me right if I'm wrong. Wie eerste gaan, Jacques?
Yeah, Prof, look, it's unfortunately, once again, this is another governmental failure, because this is something that should have been contained in the first place. But once again, it wasn't a priority. It didn't receive the necessary attention that it was supposed to receive. And like most things in this country that end up in utter disaster or end up being completely destroyed, the signs were there. They had an opportunity to prevent this. They had an opportunity to address this issue. They didn't. So that's just another something that we can tick off, as another failure of this government, and something that wasn't done when it was supposed to have been done. These politicians in this country and the leaders in this country, they are experts at stating the obvious. I think they should all become journalists, because they are great at reporting the news and telling us what's wrong. But this is not what we need in South Africa. What we need problem solvers, Prof. That's what we need. We need people that have and I'm going to say it as it is, balls to take decisive action and make decisions when it's necessary to make such decisions. And then again, like we always say, like we say every week, make informed decisions and effective ones, Prof. But you are, once again, this is a tall order that we're talking about now. I think our expectations as people of this country from this government and its leaders is way too high. So we are going to continue being disappointed as we are, or as we are disappointed every week. The disappointments are not going to stop. And this is just another governmental failure, Prof. This is another reason why this country needs to change its management. Because these are all byproducts of a failed government, Prof. It's as simple as that. And now we are sitting in a situation now where it's become almost unsalvageable. So, Mr. Steenhuisen, he who has the vision has the job, Prof. So, Mr. Steenhuisen has now proposed the plan, and he's going to have to put his head on a block now. He's going to have to now make sure that plan works, because he's made a couple of big promises, Prof. So, and the farmers of this country are not going to take those promises lightly, since they have been prohibited from sorting these issues out themselves, and since they have been forced now, in a democratic country, by the way, to rely on the government to sort this out. I think the farming community in this country are going to be breathing down Mr. Steenhuisen's neck, and good luck to him.
Yeah, but the best of all is this plan of his is a 10-year plan. Does you think he's going to be still in 10 years' time, he's still going to be the Minister of Agriculture?
Well, Prof, I hope there's a lot of people out there that like chicken and fish, because,
Yeah, but the problem with chicken is where you get bird flu again, and they nearly buggered that up as well early last year.
Well, luckily, Prof, this world has become so woke and everybody is moving towards becoming vegans. I think, people must start planting some vegetables in their gardens, Prof. Sorry, I know I'm making a joke about this, Prof, but it's a very sad state of affairs. It's devastating, actually, to all commercial farmers in this country that farm with cattle. For us as consumers, it's a terrible thing that is unfolding. But, Prof, every time the ANC or this government, every time they open their mouths, Prof, we can only, if we don't laugh about it, Prof, we're going to all get very, very depressed.
Yeah,
but somebody has to do something, Prof, and Mr. Steenhuisen's 10-year plan, 10 years are way too long. But then again, they also said it was going to take 20 years to sort out Eskom, and then they switched on the lights a month later. So I don't know what's going on, Prof, but they need to fix this, and this is something that should be prioritized, and it should be prioritized immediately. It should have been prioritized when it started. So I'm hoping that there's time to still fix this and to turn this around, and pain for everybody out there and that's suffering as a result of this. And maybe they should relook at legislation, Prof. Maybe that's where the problem is. Because there are farmers out there that have the means and the capacity and the finances to sort this out and to fix this problem themselves. But now they have to wait for government to stop this crisis. And I mean, I think that's the worst part of this whole problem is, I'm sure the farmers out there are roaring, are ready and willing and able to fix this and to help solve this issue, but their hands have been tied because of legislation and red tape. So maybe they should, instead of now trying to fix it themselves because they can't fix anything, they must now look at legislation and change the laws a bit and allow these farmers to take care of the problem themselves, those that can, and lend support.
Yeah, as we say, only time will tell on this one, and I hope it's not too late because a lot of farmers is affected, and a lot of livelihood is affected yet. And maybe it's another plan to get rid of farmers on the land, to get rid of them, so that banks can take them back. But yeah, Chris, your 2 cents on this?
Prof, I think I got R5. President Jacques, I didn't know you had such a wicked sense of humor. I commend you. Japanese people have a saying. It's a word called kaizen. Kaizen means do it right the first time. That's what it simply means. And that is what you aspire to do with every single thing you do. In the South African government case, it's a case of failure to plan is planning to fail. And I don't think there is a nation, and forgive me, I'm not favoring anybody. I don't think that there are a people tougher than farmers are. These guys are incredibly tough. They have immense amounts of faith like potatoes. And they know their ground, they know their soil, and they know their cattle. And I can't seem to understand why a minister that sits behind a desk wants to control or have control of vaccinations for animals that are sitting on a farm hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away from him. It makes no sense. And yes, I don't see how. I mean, I'm not a farmer. I'm a mechanical guy, an engineering kind of guy. If I was the Minister of Agriculture, I would let the farmers look after their own cattle and ensure that all those antibiotics, all the vaccines are readily available seasonally, that there is enough stock. I mean, they don't have a problem taxing farmers, but they have a problem with farmers farming. You know, what they don't understand is, and I have a lot of clients, and one particular client is a pig farmer. He's won this award a good couple of years in a row for being the best pig farmer in the country. And when I spoke to him a little while ago, I said to him, if you had to put down all your pigs, how long would it take you to rebuild? He said, with pigs, it's easier. It'll take me about 5-6 years. But his brother farms with dairy. And he is 42. He says he can't rebuild. He won't be able to rebuild. It's over. These guys, these farmers, work these things out in such a scientific way that there is no wastage. And for this government to be so mindless and wasteful when it comes to arguably the most important resource in this country, food. That's the government's job. Food stability is their first priority for every single citizen in this country.
Yeah.
Food stability. And I don't see how, I've got to be honest, I'm no vegetarian. The only vegetables I eat is beef because beef eats grass. I don't see how you could have put somebody like Minister John Steenhuisen as the Minister of Agriculture and he has allowed this to happen. I'm sorry, there is no way. That means he is thinking about this season and he is not thinking of what's going to happen in the future. The other side of this, and I really pray that these vaccines, we don't have to get them from Venezuela, because then we're going to have problems.
No.
Then this government is going to have problems.
Unfortunately, we don't have to, Chris. Thanks. Yeah. Before we go to our main topics, I need to touch on this one. What the President Cyril Ramaphosa, have a statement that he made last Saturday. And, the lies that he's trying to spin once again, and we know this is a lot of lies, because they're good in this. He says that the ANC wants to use 2026 as the year of decisive action to turn around that dysfunctional local government and transform the economy with a focus on better service delivery and inclusive growth. They will particularly put pressure on local authorities in this year of 2026 to consistently perform basic functions again, from reliable water to electric supplies to potholes, garbage collection and sanitation. Wow! And he said it all in one sentence. Now, the ANC, the public's patience with poor delivery has ran out, and that municipal governments that once again needs to be professional, ethical and accountability, with administrations protected from political interference and hijacking. All right. Although service delivery is at the heart of a local government campaign, the agency also links it to, listen to this one, war on crime and corruption, and calls on supporters and patriotic forces to approach 2026 as a year of recovery and decisive action, with local government as the first test of wherever the ANC can make its promises work in practice. Now, my 2 cents on this is a lot of nonsense. They cannot make anything work in practice at all. War on crime and corruption, hallelujah. I think the normal guy in the street can do better as that. I can't see how they're going to better the service delivery on garbage collection, sanitation, potholes, electrical, water, whatever. I don't know, he smoked something before he went on that stage. He dreamed something the previous night. Maar ek glo nie dat dit gaan gebeur nie. Jacques, ek weet nie, ek meen ons weet en ek glo jy sal saam met my stem om te sê dat hierdie is nou net weer een van daai foefies van hulle, die kosbakkie t-shirt ding, en te sê, luister, ons gaan julle vir altyd kos gee.
Ag, prof, jy moet my verskoon, ek probeer net hierdie remote uit my keel uitkry, want ek was pas ingesluk toe jy nou daai tyd moet maak.
Ja.
En ek dink ek het 2 are op my kop gebars. Ag, weet jy wat, ek dink hulle moet bietjie, terwyl hulle nou beter is om besig is om die waterkrisis uit te sorg, moet hulle sommer die water bietjie toets ook. Want ek dink daar's definitief iets in die water, wat die mense verskriklik laat hallusineer. So ek weet nie of dit een of ander tech is, van een of ander entiteit buite Suid-Afrika, of wat 'n terreuraanval is, maar hulle is definitief besig om ons water te vergiftig. Want die Vader weet, hoe hulle kan kom en sulke klarings maak, statements maak. Jy weet, daar kom 'n punt wat 'n mens nie eens meer begin reageer op sulke goed, of want dit is nou so goed, hoe stry jy met 'n ou, hoe voer jy 'n gesprek met 'n ou wat vir jou sê, luister, gaan buite, gaan kyk aan die lug, daar's 'n spaceship, daar's 'n UFO, wat hier bo Pretoria hang, en jy stap uit en jy sien, maar daar's clear blue skies en dis wolke, verstaan jy? Jy kan mos nou, jy weet mos nou onmiddellik met wie jy 'n intelligente gesprek kan voer met wie nie. Nou, dit is nou die situasie met hierdie ANC-regering van ons. Die oomblik wat hulle monde oopmaak, slaan my ore toe. Want elke keer as ek so 'n slag geluister het na Cyril Ramaphosa of president Ramaphosa, dan drop my eie IQ. Dit omtrent so 15 kliks. En ek is bevrees dat as ek gaan aanhou luister na hom, gaan hulle my een van die dae 'n fire by die werk, want ek gaan nie meer brains oor hê nie. So skus, ek weet nou nie hoe anders om dit uit te druk nie, maar dit is belaglik. Ek dink nie is die moeite werd om daaroor te praat of te debatteer nie. Dis 'n absolute grap. En ek dink ja, it's a great joke delivered by a masterful comedian.
Well, let me put it this way. Nobody can tell us or say that we don't bring a little bit of humor to the Straight Talk show on Joy Radio, at least. Chris, I see your favorite party, the MK. They are shaking the milkshakes again. Chief Whip sacked, new Treasurer General. Wow, I tell you, they chop and change much faster as that we can say hallelujah.
Ek is jou ouwe prof, ek is nie bes om te lag. You know, there isn't a difference, Prof. If you look at ANC or COE, MK, and the EFF, it's all the same party.
Yeah.
They should form a banner under the party acronym COE, Comedy of Errors.
Yeah, you know, they make me think about Laurel and Hardy.
I know that over the last 3 months, MK has gone through different ministers, and I was actually quite surprised to see that I think Jacob Zuma is running out of family to put into positions. And, you know, these people, they just moved from the ANC, started another party, and to fit into the ANC's mold, they are making the same errors. What worries me about the whole thing is that people believe them. And this is the scary part. You know, Limbo has now replaced Brian Molefe. You look at Brian Molefe's track record. You know, they've just gone from ANC to MK. When he's finished there, I can promise you he's going to be going to the EFF. And this is the problem with all of these people, all of these parties that come. They are just splinters. They are unhappy with the leadership, and then they start their own party. They employ the people that weren't good enough in the past party, and then they get rid of them. You know, it's. I was listening to a lot of debates by this guy called Prince. I don't know what his surname is, and we look at how they're restructuring in MK. What's going to happen to MK when Jacob Zuma passes? He's not a young man anymore. Yeah, well, that will fall by the wayside. Where are all those supporters going to go? You'll find they'll all run back to the ANC, or they'll just go to the EFF. And this is the problem. It's the same. How do I put it? Forgive me, I'm Jacques, President Jacques. I'll say this because you shouldn't be saying this. It's the same clowns that get rotated to pull the wool over the public's eyes.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I agree with you on that 100%. Let's get to our main topics for this evening, and I want to combine some stuff here. We all know that what happened last weekend, but the weekend before last weekend, we spoke about it last week. And last weekend now actually this naval exercise happened, and the government says that the naval exercise with Iran, Russia, China is very essential. And that comes from a captain Thomas Shamasha. He's the South African commander of a joint task forces, right? So he says it is of absence essence, but it had to happen, right? Now, America, the senators there, went around and they said, listen, South Africa has become an opponent of the United States with its naval exercises. Then we find that, well, but it came out to say that the ANC actually chooses their struggle buddies over the economic stability of this country. And we can see, we can start to form a picture how everything starts to come into place. The one part fits into the other one. Right. Now, when the American President Donald Trump came out and he said, listen, any trading partner with Iran, anyone, are going to slap you with an additional 25% tariff. Now, we already got a 50% tariff. Another 25 brings us to 55. Wow. How's that going to hurt the economics of this country? How's that going to affect jobs in this country, right? So, when the House votes, the House of Representatives vote to extend the AGOA, they said yes. And when they done this, South Africa was still their outside horse to be considered for it. Because Trump said he doesn't want to how should we say, put sanctions on the citizens of his country, but on the leaders of his country. Right? But now, when our Department of Trade comes out and they said, due to that what the House of Representatives said, that they've been speaking to them, right? And they've asked them for a 3-year extension. And all of a sudden, we hear that Iran backed out of this Will for Peace 2026. But now everybody says, well, maybe apparently some people say they didn't back out, others said they back out, they're only observers now. Nobody knows what the truth is because they blocked all communication in this regard. So I think it's a little bit too late. We are supposed to be in a country of democracy. But at this stage, I don't see any democracy. And when we started the current program, I said to the listeners that we're actually going to speak about it tonight. Now, I just want to give an overview for those who don't understand democracy. I went and looked it up. I said democracy is a system of government in which state power is vested in the people or general population of a state. According to the United Nations, democracy provides an environment that respects human rights and fundamental freedoms, and in which the freely expressed will of the people is exercised. So, the dominant form of democracy is representative democracy, where citizens elect, like we do in this country, government officials, municipal officials, and so forth on our behalf to represent us. But then, what happens? So the question is, what I want to put to the panel, if we look at all of this, what have happened with this Will for Peace 2026 exercise, that the government of South Africa, the ANC-led government have just decided we're going to do it with Russia, China, Iran, etc. What democracy do we still have? What is the state of democracy in this country?
Prof, I just want to comment on what we discussed now with reference to the maneuvers that are taking place and our constant defiance of the Americans in America and the decisions that this government of ours is taking in defiance of the United States of America. This is like going to your bank manager and insulting his wife before asking for a loan. Or even worse, insulting your brain surgeon the night before your operation. I see there's an extract today that was it's SA News, it's South African government agents, news agents. I'm quoting the Minister, Mr. Parks Tau of the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, that said South Africa and the United States continue to engage with each other in the negotiation of an agreement on reciprocal tariffs aimed at promoting mutually beneficial trade and investment relations and address trade barriers that affect bilateral trade. But at the same time, we are insulting the living hell out of them. We are doing things and taking decisions and that are contrary to anything that will stimulate that relationship that they are supposedly trying to, save with America. And we keep on doing these things that we are doing. We keep on making these decisions and doing these things that are actually just, we are separating us even further from any possible positive outcomes with the United States as far as these things are concerned. So once again, Prof, it's another one of these instances now, like I said previously, where government, they open their mouths and they issue statements, and we just sit here and we feel stupid afterwards for listening to it. We actually feel less intelligent after listening to this, because this is 100%. Our actions are 100% contradicting what we are saying. 100%. And this is ridiculous. It's reached a point of absolute ridiculousness to such an extent, or at such a level, that we can't do anything but sit back and laugh at this, Prof. Because we can't even reason about it anymore. We can't even debate this anymore, because it's so absolutely ridiculous. And as far as democracy is concerned, this is very interesting. At some point, South Africa was supposed to be the poster child of democracy for the rest of the world. That is until the world, fortunately, that was until the veil was lifted. And when the eye patches came off last year, as far as the international community is concerned. But for many, many years, South Africa was being held up. We were put on a pedestal as an example to the rest of the world of what true democracy is. And like I said, fortunately, last year, the rest of the world started opening their eyes. And all of a sudden, they saw what was really going on in South Africa. I just want to give you a couple of primary alleged anti-democratic policies and practices as far as the ANC is concerned that are 100% against what democracy really stands for and what democracy really means. One of them is cadet deployment. Cadet deployment. The policy of cadet deployment involves placing loyal party members in positions of authority, influence and control throughout the government, public administration and state-owned enterprises. This is not democracy. That's one. Number two, the National Democratic Revolution. The ANC is committed to achieving the objectives of the National Democratic Revolution, which aims for a fundamental transformation of social and economic relations. And there are some commentators and experts out there that view this as the ultimate goal, as potentially leading to a socialist state. This is what the experts are saying about this. That's not democracy, Prof. Corruption and abuse of power. There are widespread allegations of corruption and abuse of office among some ANC officials and members that have been viewed as undermining democratic governance. We know about state capture, Prof. Madlanga Commission is underway. There was the Zondo Commission. We all saw what the outcome was of the Zondo Commission. This is not democracy, Prof. It's not democracy. Foreign policy alignment. The ANC's strong historical ties to parties like the Chinese Communist Party and its neutral stance on issues like the Russian invasion of Ukraine, our support of Russia, our support of China and Iran. We are supporting countries, Prof, that aren't exactly, when you look up the term democracy, you're not likely going to find the names of those countries listed under that term in a dictionary. But the ANC is openly supporting them. Historical floor crossing, a past practice that the ANC itself was floor crossing, which permitted public representatives to switch parties without losing their seats. These are just things that happened in the past. But there's a number of instances, there's a number of examples, and we could carry on with this for another half an hour. Actions that the ANC have taken, policies that the ANCs have within their party, that are 100% contradictory to what true democracy really is. So, and I mean, this is the ruling party, this is the governing party of South Africa. They have, before the GNU, we had an ANC-led government for 27 or 8 years. And I mean, many would argue, and so would I, that the ANC is still the governing party, still the ruling party, and this is still an ANC-led government. So I think people must stop throwing that word around, democracy. People get a lot of criticism for throwing around the word genocide when it comes to farm murders. And I agree with that. I agree that farm murders are a very particular, specific type of crime, which I wouldn't call genocide if you go and look at the term in its true meaning. But it is it's a specific type of crime that should receive specific type of attention. But in the same instance and in the same token, they must stop throwing around concepts and words that they know nothing about, that they proclaim to be or proclaim to support, or when that is not the case, Prof. So, democracy, I don't know, Prof. I think South Africa, if you really go and dissect it, and if we really have to be honest about it, we might be a democracy on paper, but we are 100%, I would say, not close to being a true democracy as far as action is concerned.
Yeah, I hear you. On paper, everything looks well. On paper, everything is beautiful. It works on paper because you can let it work. You can make beautiful spreadsheets. I know somebody who can make a spreadsheet that, wow, it will take your breath away. But I just quickly want to come back to the foot and mouth. I see that the main studio have sent me a message on what was sent to them. It's a farmer in Philippolis, or somebody in the Philippolis area. He actually says, he said, we in Philippolis is blocking a farmer near us as he wants to have a foot and mouth farm. Can you believe this? This guy wants to start a foot and mouth farm. And he said they will bring cows here with foot and mouth to our area. They want to start a mountain food farm there. So aren't there something more sinister behind all of this? Because of this message, if this is true, I mean, when we, soos hulle sê, daar's baie meer agter die kap van hierdie byl, né? And when he's got something to say about the Minister Steenhuisen as well. He said he must be smoking boom as he knows nothing about farming. Now Rampies is coming to Tronsburg on Saturday to lie to people for votes. Yes, this is the way to kill the farmers. So yeah, obviously, there is something more sinister going on behind closed doors, behind the scenes as what we are available. And thank you for this listener from there, Tromsburg, for the Polish area, for enlightening us on things what happening there. We appreciate, because so with that we also stay abreast on what's going on. But yeah, I said in the beginning of the program when I spoke about the democracy, And I said democracy versus the ANC. And Jacques, you actually brought it out quite clearly, because I mean, when you spoke about it now, a couple of things ran through my mindset. And I just think about these so-called ethic courses that they let their people do, both who's in local government and who's in public service, right? So these in parliament and everybody have to do this. And if you go through that and you work through those courses, then there it sounds good, because they are absolutely against everything what you said now. They said they will not do it and they will act against people doing it. But we know by now it doesn't happen. But, gents, what is the alternative? Are the UIM the alternative or not?
Prof, I think if it won't be that difficult to present an alternative to what's already happening, Prof. Honestly, if people want to know what does the UIM offer, well, exactly the opposite of what they are currently offering. But if I really have to now and broaden it out a bit and discuss it in detail, what I think what we offer as the UIM, Prof, first and foremost, and most importantly, is leadership. And under leadership, I'm going to discuss a few things quickly. Because at the end of the day, we are in no position to promise houses, to promise jobs, to promise electricity, running. We are in no position to do that, Prof. We are not in government. We don't have access to state funds. But you have to start somewhere. And where we want to start is with leadership. We want to start with leadership, first and foremost. Ethical leadership. That is what we offer. Ethical leadership, which I don't think we have in South Africa. Competent management, Prof, because we have resources in this country. We have money, despite what people think. There is money, Prof, it's just been mismanaged and stolen and misappropriated. And we have the people that have the capabilities and the integrity to manage money and resources in South Africa. Structure and order, that is what we bring to the table. Something that is lacking in South Africa. Zero tolerance to crime and criminality. And when I say zero tolerance, Prof, I mean make it a top priority. And don't stop until you have brought its levels down by at least 80%, until you can completely eradicate it. Don't make it a secondary or a secondary priority. It should be a main priority. Number 5, Prof, leadership. We offer leadership, and we offer a style of leadership that is in the best interest of the country and its people. We are people that lead in the best interest of the country and its people, not ourselves. We don't act in our own best interests. We act in the best interests of the people and all South Africans and the country. That's the type of leadership that we need, that we don't have. We are people that we are going to we offer leadership and people that are good at fixing problems, Prof. We pride ourselves in fixing problems. We pride ourselves in having people in this party that have the ability to find uncomplicated solutions to complicated issues. That is what we need. We need problem solvers in South Africa. We don't want more reporters. We don't want more analysts. We don't want people reporting to us and telling us what's wrong and conducting surveys and publishing those reports and then expecting medals for it. We want people to tell us what they're going to do to fix these problems. And then we don't want scientific, elaborate schemes and scams and solutions that none of us can understand. Most of this country's problems, Prof, require uncomplicated solutions. And those and they require solutions that are driven by people that care about this country and its people, that prioritize this country and its people. If you don't prioritize the country and its people, you're not going to worry about its problems either. And you're going to be laxy-daisy when it comes to solving those problems. We offer leadership that's honest, leadership with integrity, transparent leadership. We are people that are that are hell-bent on setting high standards and ensuring that those standards are met. Nothing but the best. Nothing but the best for South Africa and its people. And once we set those goals and those targets and those standards, we are going to make sure, come hell or high water, that we achieve those goals and that we meet those standards, or we're going to die trying. We are also people that have the mental capacity to understand who our allies are and who our allies should be. And we will align ourselves with countries and entities that will benefit our country and its people. We are not going to make emotional decisions. We are going to make unemotional, logical decisions. We are critical thinkers and we are logical people in this part. A lot of people act on emotion. We don't. We try to shy away from making those mistakes as much as possible. And every time some international world crisis pops up, you see the people crawling out of the woodwork, making all these, aligning themselves with sides without thinking it through, without considering the merits, without doing a bit of digging and doing a bit of background, a little bit of research. They just come out and emotionally state who they align themselves with without even thinking further. And then you see the debates happening on social media. And I mean, you've got people in the Western Cape, South Africans, that are protesting international issues and international crises when we've got plenty of our own to worry about here in South Africa. And we are leaders that are interested in the future, but not the past. We're not interested in the past. The past is the past. We don't want to refer back to the past. We don't want to go back into the past. We don't want to dig up the past. We are interested in now and the future. That's the difference. That is the difference. That is the kind of leadership that the UIM offers. We have the people that have the capabilities in this party to lead according to all the examples I just mentioned. That's what we bring to the table. Because at the end of the day, when we started off in 2021, none of us knew a thing about politics. I'm sure there's a lot of us that still don't know much about politics. But what we do know is we are in touch with the world. We are in touch with our surroundings. We're not stupid. We're not blind. We're not deaf.
And we're in
we
touch
care
with
about what's happening in South Africa. We care about what's happening to our people. We want the best for all South Africans. And we are tired of the nonsense, Prof. We are heartful now.
Yeah.
We are heartful, but we are hopeful.
Yeah.
And that's somewhat going to be our slogan for 2026. We are heartful, but we are hopeful. That's what we bring to the table, Prof. We don't want to talk too much. We want people to give us the opportunity to show them. That's what we're asking for. Nothing else. We're just asking for an opportunity. You've put your trust and your faith in political parties now for the last 30 years. As Chris says, how has your vote worked out for you in the last 30 years? Maybe it's time to take a chance. Maybe this is the year to start taking chances. Maybe this is the year to switch direction, Prof, because we've been heading down the same path for the last 30 years, expecting the destination to change. And it's not going to change. It's not going to change.
Well,
so it's time that we start doing things differently. It's time that people start thinking differently. And it's time that people start making decisions according to those thoughts. Otherwise, we are going to be stuck in the mud, and eventually we're going to drown in the mud as well.
Yeah.
So that is what we offer, Prof, in a nutshell.
Thank you,
once
Jacques.
we have once we are given the authority and access to what we need access to, then we can start implementing our plans for South Africa. But first and foremost, we need the opportunity for people. We need people to put us in those positions first, and then we will show them. We will lead by example.
Daar sê, nee, ek stem saam met jou daar. Chris, before I go to you, maybe you can answer that. Benjamin asked, if the ANC truly believes in democracy, why does it appear to resist strong oversight, independent voices and alternative parties, and isn't the real feature of democracy found not in liberation history, but in ethical leadership, performance, and service delivery?
Prof, what does the ANC have? ANC has nothing. It honestly has nothing. The ANC, until the bitter end, will hang on to the bitter past. It can't go forward. The ANC has never been a party that they wanted to take over the country, but they were never prepared to take over the country. They didn't have the infrastructure, the people, or the know-how. Then they haven't invested going forward in having people to suit those positions. You know, what's wonderful about what Jacques said, what's wonderful about the question that Benjamin is asking, is that the ANC or the government of today, the GNU of today, is making it so easy to wipe that slate clean and start from the beginning. And Jacques is 100% right. 200% right. You have enough problems that you cannot, but as an ANC government, because that's what it is, with a knife in the one hand and begging, and have your hands put in a begging format and asking people to help you so you can stab them in the back. The ANC feels that or the government feels that they can play both sides. Now, if you were a country like America or Russia or China that has that sort of infrastructure and economy that you can play bully or you can play big, but the government, the ruling party of South Africa has played our hand to such an extent as all we can do is beg. And we should be grateful that any country, especially the United States or any country, would still consider investing in South Africa. We should say thank you. We should be grateful, put our heads down, humble ourselves, and work for the common guy on for the citizens of this country, and not worry ourselves with what is happening out there. We have too many worries and too many problems in this country to actually stick our head up and say we support this, that, or the next thing. As a government, we should, as ANC, should actually just keep quiet, focus on the country. Actually, they should just step away and let the UIM take over. And that is what they're doing. They are making it so easy for us. They are actually begging for leadership of this country. And the UIM has that leadership. It has that integrity and it has that transparency. And we are for the people in this country, all of them. That is my 25%.
Thank you, Chris. And while you're on, maybe you can just give your special thought for the week.
No, this has been, Prof, with respect to everybody, and I know exactly how President Jacques is feeling. This has been the most flabbergasting show I have ever sat on, where the statements that were made by the government and their actions have actually left me brain dead. I feel like they've put a vacuum cleaner or the gat pipe on my kop and they've sucked my brain out. If I couldn't pin anything on anybody, because the whole lot of them are useless. Useless. Absolutely useless. I should ask my grandson to be president of this country, and he's only 7.
You probably do a better job.
Probably would.
So shall we say that it goes to the whole GNU?
But the GNU, the DA keeps the ANC in business. That's what they do. There's no GNU. A GNU, you can't have an opposition and a GNU. You either an opposition or you a government of national unity. And if you're going to govern with them, that means you support what they're doing. So as President Jacques said a couple of weeks back, if you want to know what we're about, we the opposite from what the ANC is propagating. Everything, we're the opposite. I'm sorry, there is no good news, Prof, at all. There is nothing if I was from a different country And I had to be listening to this show and think, well, I've got $100 billion, 100 billion euros, and I want to invest in this country. With the way the government is ruling this country, ek gaan my geld verloor. I would have a better time burning the money and having a braai.
If you can afford a braai still with the prices what we're going to have to pay for beef currently. Thank you, Chris. And Jacques, ja, jou laaste paar minute om vir ons af te sluit van jou kant af asseblief. En soos jy gesê het, ja, ons lees dit dan nou vir 2026, die campaign slogan, die gatvol but hopeful, gatvol maar hoopvol. En vir die mense wat net gewonder het, gatvol is 'n werkwoord, is nie 'n vloekwoord nie. Jacques, asseblief, jou afsluitwoorde.
Yeah, Prof, I'm going to be the bearer of good news tonight.
Thank you.
All of these things we discussed tonight, all these things we complained about, and we don't like to complain all the time. We are actually very positive people, and I mean, we are actually very excited about 2026. But everything we complained about tonight, Prof, from the foot and mouth disease crisis to all these other ridiculous things we discussed, all of this is fixable and changeable by those that are willing to fix it and change it. It's as simple as that. So it's not the end of the road for us. It's not as we are not in a situation where we can't change or fix things, but unfortunately fixing it and changing it is going to require the people of South Africa to make that decision to fix it and change it. And if they really mean it, they will act accordingly. And if they act accordingly, you will get it. Everybody in this country, Prof, will get a huge surprise, because we can change this. We've dealt with this as a main topic on one of these discussions before. To change South Africa is not that difficult. We make it difficult. It's not that difficult. It's a decision, but it has to be a decision that's taken by millions of people. And we are all in the same boat, Prof. We are driving on the same roads. We are paying the same price for bread and milk. We are all dependent on Eskom and water, the same water resources in South Africa. We are all living under a government that is making decisions that don't benefit us, that are detrimental to this country's future. We are all victims of this, all of us. I don't care who you are and who you vote for. So people must just catch a bit of a wake-up call, skip die stof uit die oor uit, and make a conscious decision to change it, and then get off your backsides when you have the opportunity to go and vote, and then go and do so. And this time vote with your head, not your heart, or whatever else you use to vote with. But make an informed decision and consider the life that you have lived up until now. Consider your circumstances. Consider the conditions under which you have lived up until now, and decide whether you want better. Decide whether or not you deserve better, because it's within our reach. Simple as that. Simple as that.
Dankie, Jacques. Nou ja, geliefde luisteraars, ek wil afsluit met my skriftelike standpunt, Bybelse standpunt op hierdie, en dit kom uit 1 Samuel 15 vers 23 uit. Wat ons sê, want wederstrydigheid is 'n sonde van waarsêery, en eensinnigheid is afgodery en beeldediens. Omdat jy die woord van die Here verwerp het, het hy jou as koning verwerp. Nou ja, dit ons sien, dit is presies wat besig is om in hierdie land van ons te gebeur. Die konings wat hulle self aangestel het, is besig om onder te gaan. Stadig, maar verseker is hulle besig om onder te gaan. So, van my kant af, sê ek dankie aan ons president Jacques Taljaard, ons nasionale spreekbuis, Chris Erodes, en die 2 dames wat ons vanaand opgehad het, en Teresa, die kandidate, een in die Ooskaap, een is in die Vrystaat, en tot volgende week, selfde tyd, selfde plek, is ons weer terug saam met julle, net hierso, op Joy Radio met Straight Talk with the UIM. Father, we thank you for your guidance with the discussions on the program this evening. Lord, be with each and everyone throughout the weekend and week until we gather again. Bless every listener in Jesus' name. Amen. met